YouTube? This is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and I'm back with another Dynasty video that will help you guys out while we're in the off season. Right now, not a whole lot is going on as far as the rookies go. The NFL draft has not occurred yet, but a lot of startups are happening. And of course, if you are in a team right now, you're probably looking at some trades. Maybe you're looking at obviously rookie videos. You're trying to find out what is going to help you guys into the upcoming season. Now, I've got 3 quarterbacks that I'm looking to buy and 3 quarterbacks I'm looking to sell this offseason to help, again, build a very, very solid roster for years to come. So we're going to jump right into this. We're going to go into the buys. Okay. So the first guy I actually think is going to be a great buy that, again, you're in a win now situation. Maybe you've got, a pretty solid roster, but you're just missing that one quarterback that will help. I'm looking at Derek Carr. Look, right now he's currently ranked at QB 17 in Dynasty. He has a lot of potential with the fact that he's got his old teammate back in Davante Adams, which I think ramps him up. I know a lot of people have. I've watched a lot of videos. I know a lot of people are kind of like, wow, Davante Adams, great pick, but it's not Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. And no disrespect to Aaron Rodgers, who's obviously one of the best quarterbacks ever, but Derek Carr can still sling it. And I think that connection, is going to actually matter. And I think it actually helps Derek Carr a lot. And of course, helps Davante Adams. Now, the reason why I have Derek Carr as a good buy, he's still not a top 10 quarterback I think a lot of people are sold on. I think Davante Adams being there, I think a healthy Darren Waller, and then of course Hunter Renfrow, who's just been amazing since last year's campaign, and I think that's going to help him add some value. I think he threw 4,800 yards last year. He didn't quite throw the touchdowns that everybody's hoping for, but I think he's got the ability to do that. He's got Josh Jacobs behind him. It's just an overall improved offense, and I think that if you are in a win-now situation, you don't mind giving up maybe a first-round pick, maybe a younger player that you aren't completely sold on. I think he's somebody you're going to go after that would help you get you in that win-now situation. He's right now 31. I think he just turned 31. So I think age-wise, he still has 5 to 6 years, depending on how things go. So he's still going to be on your team for years to come. And Davante Adams signed a pretty long extension with the Raiders. So I do think this is going to be something that's going to happen for a while. So again, if you're looking to maybe trade like a Trey Lance, you're just not sold on, or again, I think Derek Carr is somebody you want to get after as soon as you possibly can. Another quarterback I actually love to go after. This is kind of one of those possible rebuild or just kind of building for the future is Jordan Love. No one knows what is going on with Jordan Love. Right now, he's ranked QB 32, which obviously is understandable. He's behind Aaron Rodgers, who signed a 2-year extension. With Jordan Love, there was all that potential, right? The Green Bay Packers went up, high in the draft to get him. But the little bit that he played didn't show a lot. And I think that is not fair to Jordan Love. You got thrown into like that COVID game with obviously Aaron Rodgers being out. There's still an uncertainty. And I think that's where I think you could get him possibly cheap. You may have somebody who's an absolute Jordan Love player that just will not get rid of him. They just see the future. They believe in him. So he might not be as cheap as you'd like. I wouldn't go super high, but I think you could get away with a nice little steal once Aaron Rodgers does retire, or maybe Jordan Love does go to another team. Now, the only concern that I do have is the fact that this whole offseason, there were teams looking for quarterbacks, and he wasn't dealt. Now, that might be the fact that Green Bay still believes in him and doesn't want to get rid of him, and they are thinking future. Or there just aren't a lot of teams that are really in love with him, and I think would rather go with somebody like, we saw Matt Ryan, we saw Marcus Mariota, you saw Trubisky. So it does kind of worry me a little bit, but again, I think he's somebody you could probably get at maybe a second rounder. Again, I think somebody I wouldn't spend a lot of money on, but I would definitely love to have on my team just to kind of sit there for future growth. All right. Now, the last guy I want to talk about is a good buy, and this is probably going to be a little crazy, but I have Patrick Mahomes. And the only reason is this is the best opportunity to get him realistically at all. Right now, he's ranked QB2. I've seen him drop down to QB5. But the fact that Tyreek Hill obviously got traded, that I think plays a little bit of a factor in the fact that you might have a chance. Okay? Now, you're obviously going to have to give up some draft capital or some players to go after him. But if you think about this, Patrick Mahomes, there are some people who are just uncertain how he's going to perform. Travis Kelce is now going to get heavily targeted, but he's also going to be watched very carefully by defensives. They're going to scheme after him. The wide receivers at this moment aren't something to be really, worried about. You've got Juju, you got MVS, you've got okay players, right? I wouldn't say stars. I think Juju obviously has the most potential, but the fact is you don't have a Pro Bowler like Tyreek Hill. Now, obviously, say Kansas City goes after Metcalf. Maybe they go after, a really high stud in the draft because they've got a lot of draft capital. Sure, Patrick Mahomes will stay where he's at. QB2, I think, is a great spot. I think Josh Allen is just above him with his rushing ability. But I think if you have a chance to do it, this is the chance to go after Patrick Mahomes now. And I wouldn't mind, I'd give up a couple first rounds. Again, that's okay risking it because he's still young. Where he'll have, another 10 years, hopefully, in the league. So again, he's somebody I would definitely go after. You're going to give up a little bit, so don't feel too bad. Don't feel like you're going to, don't be too worried about that draft capital if you can get a Patrick Mahomes. But I think if you're going to do it, this is the only time you can do it, because once they get a wide receiver, that's going to be the end of it. So this would be the time to go. Now, as far as some quarterbacks that I'm looking to sell, first quarterback is going to be Russell Wilson. Right now, he's ranked at QB9, which is very respectable. I think I would have ranked him a little bit lower, but he's got some great weapons coming from Seattle to Denver. Denver obviously has Jerry Jeudy, Sutton. They've got some great weapons on the outside. You've got Javonte Williams in the backfield. I think this offensive scheme could be perfect for Russell Wilson, and it's a new team. I think for him, that's a big deal. I think he kind of got stagnant. I think he had some amazing weapons on the outside with, Metcalf and Lockett, but let's be fair. Before his injury last year, he was awesome. He was awesome at quarterback. He was one of the best fantasy quarterbacks going on. Then obviously he got hurt. He came back, had some pretty bad games, got a little bit better. He finished still QB 13 at the end of the season last year, which obviously is still very respectable. I think he could finish definitely QB, probably top 8. I think going after this season, depending on obviously injury, but I think he'll be one of those guys. So if you're in a rebuild and you need some depth and maybe you need some draft capital, maybe you want a younger player, I think this is the time. If you have Russell Wilson on your team, I'm going to sell him. I think you can get some good return from him, especially a team that's looking to win. They're just a QB away. I think you could get some draft capital that would help you kind of build for your future, because this isn't going to be your season or next 2 or maybe next 3. So that way you could kind of get rid of. I have Russell in one of my rebuilds that I actually ended up picking up, and I'll actually think about doing a video of this team to kind of show how I'm going to take this team from a not so great team to hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years be one of those dominant fantasy dynasty leagues. So another quarterback, I know this sounds crazy because his youth, but I have Tua as a good sell. Right now he's ranked QB 16, and I think some people might rank him a little bit higher with the fact that you've got Tyreek Hill there. Look, I'm not personally sold on Tua. I had him last year in a redraft league. He had his moments, depending on the matchup, and he obviously had the rushing capability, but I'm not 100% sold on Tua's capability with the fact that, you added a great wide receiver on the outside. You had a good receiver on the outside with Waddle. You got Gesicki. You had some good weapons for him. Now, obviously, the fact that the team was looking to possibly get Watson or other quarterbacks tells me they weren't 100% sold on Tua as well, okay? And I think with Tua, the fact that last year he didn't throw beyond 7 yards, which sounds crazy, right? I know there's a lot of memes and jokes about it, like Tyreek Hill better, get used to being a running back or something like that for this team. But that's actually a pretty legitimate worry, is the fact that he doesn't have the same arm strength, obviously, as a Patrick Mahomes. He does have some great speed weapons on the outside. And I think this is that prove it year. But I think if you're someone that, like me, just not 100% sold, his value has gone up. And I think you can get more for what I think he's really worth. And I think you can absolutely, this would be the time to sell him. I've got a few. I actually ended up turning him around. I sold 2 off for a first round pick in Matthew Stafford. I know Matthew Stafford obviously is near the end of his career, but that first round pick is going to be a big difference for me as far as what I needed for my team. 2 wasn't even my QB1. So again, that's somebody I would definitely consider. Now, the last quarterback I have as someone I'm going to look to sell, especially if you're in a rebuild mode and you're trying to get rid of some age, is Kirk Cousins. It's not the oldest quarterback, don't get me wrong, but his age does play a factor in this. Obviously, everyone always sees Kirk Cousins as Kirk Cousins, if that makes sense. But Kirk Cousins actually is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. The last 2 years, he's finished QB 11. Right now, he's ranked QB 20, and again, that age factor plays in there. But his receivers are starting to, age out a little bit in Adam Thielen, but he's got a great Justin Jefferson out there. And on top of that, somebody that no one's really talking about is Irv Smith at the tight end position. I love Irv Smith, so that's a whole nother video. But the fact is he's still a very, very solid quarterback. I think he's in that kind of, I definitely top 20 as far as, where I feel. I think QB 20 is kind of there. I think maybe 18, 19. So I do like him a lot, but I'm going to get rid of him if I'm rebuilding. I'm going to move him to a team that absolutely needs a quarterback, that just needs somebody to kind of help them win this year. And I'm going to get some draft capital. I'm going to get maybe a younger player. Maybe I'm going to trade Kirk Cousins for a Jordan Love and, maybe a second or a first round pick. You'll figure it out as far as what you absolutely can get. You got to play around a little bit as far as some trades, but I think as a rebuild team, I'm not keeping Kirk Cousins on my roster. Not that he's not a good fantasy quarterback. Like I said, the last 2 years, he's finished QB 11, but he's somebody that I think you can get rid of at a decent price to a team that is winning right now. And I think you can get that return. I still like Kirk Cousins a lot. I think he'll still finish top QB 15. I think anywhere from QB 11 to 15 is definitely where his mark is. He is an awesome QB, low QB1, high QB2 as far as the super flex goes. So I'm looking to sell him as fast as I can before it gets too late. They are obviously got a new head coach. We'll see how that plays out. So that also plays a factor as far as where I think Kirk Cousins will be. They still love Dalvin Cook. Obviously, he's got a lot of injuries. Madison looks great in the backfield too, so they might run a little bit more and kind of let Kirk Cousins throw when he needs to. But I still think he's somebody I'm going to sell. So those are my quarterbacks that I believe are going to be some good buys, some good sells for you this offseason in Dynasty. Again, if you have any other questions or maybe there's some other players you think would be some good buys or sells, let us know in the comments down below. We'll always love to see that. If you guys do have any other suggestions or maybe other questions for us, you can hit us up in the comments or follow us on Twitter or Instagram. Obviously, the banners are up here. You can see that. You can follow us there. If you guys did enjoy the content, make sure you hit the like button. Also, if you guys are new, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell is on. That way you guys are notified every time we drop a video just like this. We'll be doing more Dynasty content, more rookie content coming soon. And then obviously stay tuned. We'll be obviously doing the rookie NFL draft coming up at the end of April, which I'm super excited about. All right. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe, that like button, and we'll catch you guys next time.